So we are live for another series of interviews that we're doing here at ShareNest. Share your skills from home to create a better world. And today we have the amazing opportunity to interview nothing better than Suzanne Jewell, a founder of the Mindful Entrepreneur, a corporate mindful and emotional intelligence trainer. Suzanne is volunteering her time here in this interview with us, not only to share a little bit of the message that we're going to talk today, which is about mindfulness, which is about finding your center in the moments, in such a difficult moment that we're going through right now. But most important, to inspire each one of you to find your unique talent, your unique value, and bring it out to the world. To raise your hand and say, you know what? This is my unique proposition that I can give it to my family, that I can give it to my community, or even to the entire world. And if you can now find a place or where to do that, you can come to ShareNest, which is a network of volunteers, of people that are wanting to do good from home. So Suzanne, how are you doing today?
I am awesome today. Happy Monday, everybody. And I am just literally delighted over the moon to be here today. You can see it in my smile, like ear to ear.
Absolutely.
So happy to be here with you today, Joseph.
Amazing. Very nice. So let's jump into it, what really matters. Why volunteering? Why volunteer matters to you?
It matters to me a lot. And I'll tell you, it started out first for me in high school. The high school I went to back in Grand Rapids, Michigan, small little town where I was raised, required us to do up to 10 hours of volunteer work every single month while we were in 9th through 12th grade. And they really were trying to create committed citizens to the world that was that long ago. And consider that I'm in my 5th decade, so that was quite a long time ago. It really became something for me that just felt like my DNA. I felt like I was so blessed. There was sort of a counterbalance that was required for me to be receiving so much that it was really important that I also gave a lot. And I found that when I gave of my time or my talent or my treasure, I got blessed more. Wow. So it had this really gorgeous symbiotic way of being present. And I now have built my business that way. You know, Joseph, that part of what I do is some of what I do for money. Some of what I do for good. And some of it, I do it because it's the right thing to do. And I don't charge a dime.
That's amazing. And it's very similar, right, to our slogan. You get what you share, right? So, and I don't know if people know, but one of the reasons why we have like a nest, we actually built this together.
We did, honey, we did.
People that don't know, Suzanne, in her past, she used to be still is a phenomenal marketer, help people and corporations create amazing branding and all that. And she actually helped mine. And one of the reasons why we have the nest, right, with the eggs inside is because we really believe that the most valuable thing that an individual has is the sharing actions that they do.
Yep.
Right? And obviously exactly for what you said, right? The more you give, the more you really can receive and find that fulfillment that we're all looking for. Now, do you have an experience that you can share with us that have really impacted you while you're giving back?
I will share with you something that for me was a really big deal. And I'll go back to, I was blessed enough in my first 2 years of college to go overseas. I was the first person in my family to go to college. And I was the first one to go to overseas and live in Europe for a while. And when I came back, here I was, a girl from Grand Rapids, Michigan, who had lived in the south of Spain, and I could speak Spanish. But I had no way of how could I actually keep my skills really polished. And at that time in West Michigan, we didn't have a whole lot of ESL programs, English as a second language. Fast forward now, there's all sorts of those programs. So I went and basically knocked on the door of someone that my mom and dad knew in the educational community. And it ended up being it's the West Michigan Hispanic Society. And I basically said, look, I want to keep my Spanish going. I now obviously speak English as my first language. Is there any way I could volunteer for those who come through? Because Michigan was one of the stops on that particular field. Of people would come to Michigan for the crops, and then they would go to Texas, and they kind of moved between both. And I'm going to tell you, I had the most amazing opportunities going into some of these experiences where I taught Simon Dice, and I taught it en español as a way to keep my Spanish going but it was this great way for me to teach other people about, I had just learned what the nariz was or los labios were. And what it gave me was this great opportunity to experience joy, keep my Spanish going. And I was able to teach English as a second language as a volunteer. And it really impacted my life, because I remember years later, I ran into a young man who told me that his mom had to take their sister to the doctor, and she knew the right body parts to be able to say that something had been broken. And she knew how to say wrist, and she knew how to say elbow. And it was as simple as because I went in and offered that.
Wow.
And that may sound like something that doesn't impact anybody's life, but it brought me great joy. And it turned out that it actually helped them get through a doctor's appointment well. So there's just something about that you can't put a dollar value to. That's like honey in the heart. And when you've got honey in the heart, baby, it doesn't matter what's in your bank account.
Absolutely. That's so special. Okay, amazing. So this was an amazing intro, but now let's flip. Let's switch gears to an amazing topic that I think is so relevant for today's world, right? Got stress, get mindful. Now, I think everybody has gone through some sort of stress, right, in the past couple months. Tell us a little bit about that. What is mindfulness, and how can people really, be more mindful in times like today?
It is, it's a stunning thing I'm going to share with you first and foremost, that, you and I work together when I'm wearing one hat, which is startup coach. And now I'm getting these calls, Joseph, for like mindfulness and meditation on demand. Wow. Because people are literally saying, Suzanne, my team's super stressed out. Or, I won't name any names, but I'm a leader and I can't focus. Like, I can't find a way to focus. I've got work to do. I have a job, but I just can't find a way to concentrate. Or other people who are just friends who literally are like, hey, that mindfulness thing you teach? Do you think like you could give me a few tips? Because I'm having a hard time sleeping. So what is it at its most essence? It is a attention training focus practice that helps you be in this moment. It is based on ancient wisdom. And there are many pieces of ancient wisdom, whether it's centering prayer, whether it's other types of meditation, of which there's hundreds of kinds. Mindfulness is a very analytical means of training your attention and gathering your focus so that you can be in this moment. Here's the most important reason why it matters right now. In one day, we've got about 24 hours to live, technically. And of that, we're asleep, let's say 6 to 8 hours. So we're horizontal for a good part of it. Let's just say 6 hours, and that leaves us 18 hours to be vertical, awake, and on our 2 feet. Half of that time almost, our minds are either in the past or in the future. Wow. The number is actually 47%. So out of the 18 hours, let's just say just under 9 hours. So that actually means you're not where your body is. And so if I'm going over the fight I had with my sweetheart last night, or I'm planning on the grocery stop I've got to make before they close down Miami, like your head is in all these places, but you're missing what's here. You're missing this life. And when we are not here, when you asked the question at the beginning, what matters most? What could matter more than sitting with your loved one? Right. Or being with your pet, or listening to someone who's having a challenge and just offering right now your presence. And especially in work right now, I'm really noting that a lot of the first things that, whether it's your boss or a work thing, the first thing people are saying is, how are you? Yeah. Are you well? And so well-being is really starting to matter most, because if you're not well, none of the rest of the stuff really matters.
And you can't be efficient, right?
Can't be efficient, can't be present. So what you learn with mindfulness, the 5 phrases of mindfulness are how to pay attention, on purpose, in the moment, non-judgmentally, and with curiosity. Now, those of us who've been practicing it, and I've been practicing it about 8 years now, I'm going to tell you, man, some days there's like, I'm curious. Some days I'm non-judgmental. Some days I'm in the moment, but when I land on all 5, there's something that does happen that you actually, and you know what this is because you have a practice, you're able to feel like time sort of slows down. If you've ever been working on a project where you're like all in, you're focused and it feels like everything's flowing and you're like, wow, where'd those 3 hours go? Hyper focus brings you into a state of such full awareness that it feels more rich than the moments of where you're trying to multitask and all you're doing is trying to jam more into the time to get more out of the time. And we actually can't multitask.
Wow. Do you have any like cool facts of how organizations are actually less efficient because of that?
There are really interesting statistics now that are coming out that are showing that companies that practice mindfulness, Aetna Insurance is the largest one. They've done it with 30,000 employees, have increased their productivity by up to 20%.
Wow.
They have reduced their what's called absenteeism and presenteeism. So those are two really interesting things. Absent means I'm not here. I'm literally not at work, okay? But here's the new big issue we've got. We might be present, but we're not checked in. You know, I might have a sinus infection, and so my brain is going, oh my God, my head hurts right now. I don't feel very good. I might have a cat at the vet. Like, it means I may physically be in the body in my chair at the office, but I'm not present. So presenteeism and absenteeism now are actually proving to be worth $500 billion of lost impact on companies' bottom lines.
Oh, wow.
So you literally, by learning how to be mindful and by offering those practices, are not only in your own life gaining back half that time, you know, you're asleep part of it, and then 47% of it, you're not paying attention. A company is gaining back immense amounts of present and non-absent presence of the person in their actual chair.
Oh, wow, that's crazy. So the biggest question, how do you train that? Any technique or any suggestion that you have for us?
Absolutely. Can we do it? Can we do it?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Right.
The floor is yours.
All right, everybody, I'm going to invite you, first of all, take what is called a dignified seat, which means put your feet firmly on the floor. Let your strong back be firm and let your front be kind of soft. Let your eyes gently close. And if not, just let them go to a 45-degree angle and soften your focus gently. Listen to my voice. I'm going to invite you not to change anything, but to simply become present to the feeling of your body in the chair you're seated in. Take note, is the chair soft, rigid, plastic, leather? Take note. Now drop your awareness to your feet on the earth. When was the last time you thought about how your feet have taken you everywhere you've gone on this planet? You're held here right now by the gift of gravity. Doing nothing, you're going nowhere, and you can simply be here now. And for just a moment, put your hand on your heart and check in with the quality of your heart right now. Does your heart feel excited and fluttery? Maybe it feels relaxed. Simply find a one-word description and sit with that for just a second or two. And now take your palms and rub them together before your face, gently opening your eyes and letting your hands go back to your lap. And as you open your eyes, see if you can feel the sensation of life, aliveness in your hands. What we just did is literally help you, interestingly enough, check in with your body to become more mindful. And people think that it means mindless and thoughtless. Your body's the best place to slow your mind from that roll or that whir or that monkey mind it's in, because you'll get here in this moment by figuring out where is your body, first of all, in the geophysical space. So GPS means geophysical space of where you're actually at right now. That's a mindful practice.
Wow, that's so special. I just feel so peaceful just from doing it. And it doesn't have to take like 20, 30 minutes, right? It's like a seconds and boom.
Literally, we probably were there 1 minute 45,
Yeah.
maybe 2 minutes. You literally can slow your roll that way. And what it does is it gives your nervous system, because we're normally on, that's the other thing, we're on autopilot a lot. And you mentioned, Suze, what about the times we're in? We're all in a hyperactive state of stress right now. You know, we read the news, up goes our hypervigilance. We check in with family, is everyone okay? So doing small little pocket practices like that can just help you rest the body a little bit. And by the way, you'll digest your food better too if you do that.
Oh, wow. So it's overall efficiency now, in the future, everywhere. Right? It's just like
Yeah,
super, super special.
yeah.
Now, you talked a little bit about the difficult times that we're going through. What is a message that you have for humanity as a whole, like of how to handle what we're going through?
First and foremost, take a deep breath. And when you exhale 2 seconds longer than you inhale.
Okay.
So that actually, by the way, is also mindful breath practice, because you will calm down your nervous system. Don't just take a deep breath. Always exhale longer. This is my message. We're here for a reason, not only collectively, but individually. Every one of us stands on the shoulders of giants. Whether you have family that survived the Holocaust, whether you've got family that has made it through having been enslaved and now we're in a space of properly finding racial justice, whether you've got a family like me, that my family did come across the pond from Europe and made their way through whatever they made their way through. One of my family members was the first member to open up a McDonald's. The guy was an entrepreneur.
Wow.
Every one of us has somebody. Maybe it's not Harriet Tubman, you know, and maybe it's not Elie Wiesel. Maybe that's not quite the level of who, or maybe we don't know it yet. But we humans are resilient. We have, over the 50 or the 100 or the 500 or the 1,000 or the 5,000 years we've walked in before, made it through very difficult times. So no, maybe we haven't been here in this particular experience, but we are made of great stuff. And whether you have a faith tradition or you don't, maybe you think that you're made of the cosmic stuff and you come from the stars, and whether you've got love or God or something that you don't name as the divine, I also think this is a time that we're being asked to turn to the kindness that that's asking for us to show, where what you're doing, giving of what we've got, sharing our skills. And boy, if there's ever a time where turning the other cheek doesn't mean smack me, it means let me take in what might look like nastiness. Let me give back something that might look like niceness.
Wow.
We are truly being tested about whether or not we can rise above, and whether or not the humanity that we have to express is on the verge of becoming a new way of being human, or are we just going to resort to ways that humans have resorted to in difficult crisis times before? We have an opportunity and a unique moment right now to make all our ancestors proud, and to actually be part of the change that this world is asking for. When Gandhi said, be the change, there's nobody coming. We're the ones we've been waiting for. It's up to us. So that's my message.
Wow, very powerful. What came to me, you know, when there's that say that when life gives you some lemons, turn into a lemonade, right? Turn into a
Amen.
lemonade and drink it, right? And enjoy it, because I think that I really hope that if we really not only apply what you have mentioned at the end, but also be more mindful overall, we'll be able to come out of this as better people, as better community, as a better planet, right? Like we have seen it. We have seen it, like, you know, different places of the world that, you know, the less direct impact of humanity are having, like, you know, the world somehow shining, right? Animals coming back to Israel, and the blue, you know, ocean in different places of the world. Like, so if we actually take the messages of what's happening around us and said, oh my God, it's actually what you said, an opportunity for us to grow, to go to our next level of self, of really living what we're meant to live. right?
And I think you said something so subtly important, Joseph, which is, what are we also paying attention to?
Right.
You just named some gorgeous things, like, isn't it interesting? In Miami, for example, the first lockdown, we went down to the lesser number of homicides that this city had seen since 1957.
Wow, I get goosebumps. Wow.
So what are the signs, like you said, that are showing up where you've got, all of a sudden you had animals showing up in the middle of cities when there were less humans? Like, what is being said right now about how better we're meant to interact and engage with one another, and with the gorgeous gift of this thing called nature? We've only got one home. It's this planet. We need to care for her, and we need to care for one another. So we've got a big road ahead, but we also have an opportunity to be the ones that your kids talk about and say, this is what my mom and dad did. This is who they hung out with. This is what they focused on. This is the way that they chose to reduce their carbon footprint, or take care of the earth, or recycle, or upcycle. And wow, look at the world we've now built because we chose differently. We've got to choose differently. That's the one thing that's the most obvious of all. There's no going back. We have to choose differently.
Let's do it. So the same way that, guys, Suzanne today has chosen, right, to share, to give her talent back to the world. I hope that you have become more mindful with all this, but most important, that you have been inspired to also add value, to also find a way to share your unique value to society in any shape, way, or form. Suzanne, thank you so much for this past half an hour that we talked. Not only was pretty inspiring to me, but I, hope was for the world as well. Thank you.
I am hoping the same, and I want to share with you how inspired I am and lifted up by you. I think this is the contagion that really matters most, because when you inspire me and I inspire you, man, I want what he's having and you want what I'm having, and all of a sudden that's priceless. So thank you, and keep doing such amazing work.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Take care.